Welcome to Lab 5, Securing VTP Domains, as it says on the title. Again, usual objectives, explain the purpose and the level the lab's aimed at. Real simple topology, you just need to connect two switches together. Got some VLANs we're going to configure also, and obviously the solution is on the separate document. Now often when I'm going between labs there's old configuration left on, so we may get some error messages such as this. Already set the domain name, but I want to practice the commands anyway, so we're going to type the commands in. So set the VTP password on one switch. Has to match the case and obviously the letters and numbers or whatever you use for password. So VTP domain, VTP password. We've obviously got some of the configuration you just need to look through. As the labs go on, I don't tend to talk you through some of the configuration, only because you should really know it without me having to show you the same thing over and over. Alright, so there's no trunk form between the two devices, so we need to set a trunk one side. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1, switch port mode trunk, and you can see it's set to trunk one side, it's brought the trunk link up on the other side. Show interface trunk, and you can see it's up there on switch 1. The N stands for negotiated. We should be covering that later in another lab. But basically what I've done now is hard set it to switch port mode trunk. So it can negotiate a trunk if you don't hard set it. Show interface trunk, the N has disappeared now. I'm not sure you would get asked about that in the exam, but it's useful to know anyway. So that's how to remove the negotiated trunk. Just checking the configuration requests or requirements. Okay, we're going to configure our VLANs, which you should be familiar with by now. Sales managers, engineers, and support. Show VTP status now. Show VLAN brief. Alright, there's two VLANs seem to be missing there for some reason. You saw me configure them. Trunk is up. We can troubleshoot things as we go along. Find out why they're not working. So you can see what has been configured on switch 1. The VLANs are on switch 1, so they're all active and working fine. Show VTP status should reveal the answer. We've got an old bit of configuration left on from an earlier lab, transparent mode, so it's not going to forward VLAN information. So VTP mode server should fix that. Perhaps there was some configuration left on switch 2 also, but this is going to happen to you when you're doing your labs. The configuration revision number should increment whenever there's a change made, VLANs added or deleted, etc. The configuration revision at the moment is 4. So our VLANs haven't propagated yet to switch 2. So show VLAN brief is still showing us two VLANs on switch 1. So for some reason it didn't take the earlier configuration. It was in there, but didn't take, perhaps because I've changed the switch port mode. And I'm doing this in Packet Tracer, which can just throw up some strange glitches that sometimes make you think you're going a little bit crazy. So just following the rest of the configuration now, adding the correct ports on the switch to the correct VLANs, 10, 20, 30, 40. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN, or whatever the number is. The super shortened versions of these commands might not work in the exam because you're using an emulator. So show VLAN brief, we can see our VLANs are there. Been propagated onto switch 2. Show VTP status. Our configuration revision number is incremented a few times due to configuration changes, been propagated. The other thing that should match is your message digest number. It's MD5 hashed value of the password. I think it's mentioned in the lab. So check it matches both sides. It should do even if you're using Packet Tracer. But that's the end of the lab. Thanks for watching, and on to the next lab.